Carl Munson here, and this is a great pleasure for me, and quite a random situation, really, as you'll discover as you stay tuned and listen to the conversation I'm about to have with Gary Coulton here. Hi, Gary, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's great to be here.
It's a delight to be with you on this Positive Echo podcast, which a couple of weeks ago I didn't know I'd be doing. And you live in the UK in Surrey, don't you? Not far from where I was born.
That's true.
You're coming to where I live now quite soon. And all of that will explain in just a moment. But this is episode 1 of the Positive Echo podcast, where the idea is to discuss what kind of echo will you leave when you're gone. So it's such a great topic. It's such a great subject. It comes from you and your father, doesn't it? Really?
Very much, yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder, could you explain to me the origins of the positive echo?
I'll be very happy to, and very proud to as well.
Yeah, you're right.
So my dad died in 2000, and nobody knows about him unless you've read my memoir recently. He was one of those guys that people came to and asked for help. And if it was humanly possible, he would help them. He would drive them places. He would mend stuff for them. He would talk to them, visit them. He was a cool guy, but I didn't really know him that deeply until 2 weeks before he died of esophageal cancer. Oh. It's not a nice way to go either, but he was a real stalwart, the old school kind of.
Yeah.
He refused any treatment of any kind. He said, my number's up and I don't want heroic surgery done.
Really?
Great, yeah. So in the month or so after he knew it was terminal, because it happened really quickly, he'd been hiding symptoms for probably years. He would have one-to-one conversations with members of the family. So not just me and my brother, but it would be his brother-in-laws, and he would give them half an hour, depending upon how much energy he had.
Wow.
And it came to my turn a couple of weeks before he died. And we talked about all sorts of things, as you would do in that kind of situation.
Yes, right, yeah.
Not all sad either. He wasn't sad at all. He was ready, just ready.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was struggling, as we'll discuss no doubt in the future. I overthink. I always have overthought. And I oscillate up and down in mood a lot. I had been severely depressed in the past. And despite the fact that in 2000, I had a 4-year-old daughter, happily married to the woman I'm still married to 44 years later, I was really not quite concentrating. And then he said to me this, Gary, who do you want to come to your funeral? And what was it you did for them that would make them want to come?
Wow, that got your attention, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. But I didn't understand it. I just thought great words.
Yes.
And we chatted more and time went on. And he died in the January of 2000. And it was years and years and years later when I'm thinking to myself, what did it really mean? And what did it mean to me? So if I go over it again slowly, Gary, who do you want to come to your funeral? I'll be dead. I don't care. Might care for Mel if she's still around, but I don't care about me.
Yeah.
But what was it you did for them that would make them want to come? Now, if they might not be able to make it on the day, but they might want to come, want. And people only want to do things if somebody else has stood up for them, done something. I began to think about this. And it's not only the maudlin thing about death, the end point. What kind of echo do you leave, on your tombstone? It's more than that. It's what echo do you leave the barista when you've just bought coffee from them?
Right.
Is it a good echo or a disappointing echo? Because
Yeah.
it said something about you or me who are leaving the echo. And I mentioned this to people and they said, well, that's just being nice, isn't it? And I thought, well, is it really? So I started to think about love and compassion, unconditional love. So you can love someone, but not like the things they do. They're completely separate.
Mm.
And compassion can be tough compassion. It's a good thing for you to do this thing, but I'm not necessarily being nice to you. So again, it got me thinking, what was it I do for people that would make them want to invite me back to dinner? What was it? What was the echo I left each time I left a job? And it's not about money. You know, it is legacy in a
Yes.
way, but it's not about money. So that's what set me off on this Positive Echo podcast, because the world is shitty at the moment. Pardon my,
Fair comment. I wasn't
know,
really with the buzzer, but yes.
it is nerd
Yes.
in
Yeah.
so
Indeed.
many ways. But
Yes.
when I read particularly Substack, which I recommend to everyone that wants a more positive view of life,
And real, right? Real
and
personal
real,
stuff. Yes.
nobody's really trying to exploit anybody else. Yeah, you can make money on it if you really want to, but the generosity of spirit I've found is tremendous.
Yes.
And that got me again to thinking, how do we help people see that leaving a positive echo with the person they've just had a conversation to is actually a militant thing to do?
It is, isn't it? It's social activism, isn't it?
Completely, because it
Yes.
builds emotional resilience.
Yes, yes, and especially now that with your diagnosis of the state of the world currently, it's pretty important, isn't it?
It's a way to not fight back itself, but it's a way to keep yourself as strong as possible.
And create
I
the
have this
future. I mean, we might come into how this creates the future, right? Because we were talking in a way about the past, aren't we, and legacy.
Yeah.
And this podcast, I hope, will bring a whole new meaning to the term legacy media. This is like, you know, what legacy are you going to leave rather than what's the old media that's, you know, it's dying a death at the moment. This could be true legacy media and getting people to consider what they want to leave in their wake. But it also creates the future for those left, doesn't it?
It's about giving people tools.
Yeah.
And I think the greatest generosity is to leave people with more power in themselves than they had before.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in education one way or another all my working life. And I always realized the thing that drove me wasn't the accolades, it wasn't the titles, it wasn't really the money. It was watching other people succeed, doing things they didn't know they could do, as well as they ended up doing it. And that's how, frankly, I get my jollies.
Yep, impact is one word that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Now, if I may, Gary, we've learned a little bit about your dad there, and what an incredible person he sounds like he was, and his presence remains through the words that you've shared with us, which is a lovely tribute to him. You mentioned, I want to try and sort of piece things together a little bit, and the impact that his words had on you. And clearly, you took notice when he uttered them, but they kind of sunk in reference to the depression you spoke of, and then other parts of your life where this is all woven together to come into a quite outstanding sense of definition now, given that this is now the name of a podcast, and we're considering this question: what kind of echo will you leave? And we found out about you, Dan. I want to find out about you, because you're the author of Demons to Champions, which is an incredible book, How I Fell in Love with My Neurodivergent Maverick Mind. Is this connected with this positive echo effect phenomenon? Tell us how it all connects together.
Wow. My little neurodivergent mind, which I only only identified at age 65, is whirring to try and create connections,
Yes.
to make a story.
Yes.
So I've always been a storyteller. And I love the fact that we're going to do that book launch at the Storyteller Hotel. It's fantastic. Anyway, I've always been a storyteller. I was the kid that wouldn't shut up, didn't know when to shut up. Okay. And my family, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of them are also either ADHD, autistic, or both. They would always allow the kids to have their own voice and their own opinions. So right from a very, very early age, I was used to looking at things around me and synthesizing them into something new, things that nobody had known before. So that's the really, really young me. And I was always an experimenter. There's a chapter in the book that describes, in fact, chapter 1 describes when I used to love pushing buttons, any button on escalators, lifts,
That kid.
Right. I had to have my arms held to my sides in the end. So that's always been me. And I have this strange balance, or unusual balance. I am totally curious about the world around me and the world in me.
Yeah.
And yet I'm also a massive overthinker. And I usually blame myself for everything that doesn't happen, doesn't go right. So I'm an optimist, curious on one side, ever experimenting. And on the other side, I see the worst in myself.
Right.
And those two forces can be incredibly destructive, because one half of you is setting yourself up to be a champion, and the other one is going, really? You?
Yes. It also seems like it's a James Bond moment where the laser is being turned on itself. James Bond thinks, I know how to end this. We'll get the baddie weapon trained on itself, and it'll blow itself up. That's what it sounds like goes on in your mind.
So let's get this, out the way right away, because you already know that what you see is what you get with me. I don't have a hidden agenda. Everything's above the table. So at the age of 27, I've been married a short while to this amazing woman, Melanie. We just bought our first flat. I'd got a cracking new job, research job, and I was on the edge of killing myself.
Good heavens.
And you can imagine, I hadn't been diagnosed with any neurological disorder.
Yes.
And this feeling had been building for a decade or more. And the reason being that this arm of demons were real voices in my head. Characters. I don't mean kind of schizophrenic voices. They didn't tell me to do things. They just belittled me or made me hypervigilant about everything that was going on around.
Yeah.
Made me scared of the world.
And
on the other side, I had this super confidence, apparently. And I did stuff. I was a good sportsman. I got a really good undergraduate degree. I got a PhD. I was publishing research papers. But there was this secret corrosive thing inside, and it's not unusual.
No.
But I didn't know that it isn't unusual.
So how well were you keeping it a secret?
Nobody knew.
Really?
Okay. Until I had to tell Mel that I was suicidal.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm not going to let you go. Now, many people don't tell others. They don't have anybody to tell.
Yes.
Or they're so ashamed.
Yes.
They're too scared to tell.
So what did it take? What happened that allowed you to share that?
I'm not actually sure.
Right.
I mean, I've tried to investigate it. I think it was a number of circumstances.
Uh-huh.
The autistic side of me is incredibly stubborn, and it knew it had stuff to do. Still, there were things I wanted to achieve, and maybe that was just enough to not give in.
Yeah.
Now, I never attempted anything like, suicidal, because I was caught by Mel. And at the same time, I'm a natural researcher. I research everything. Again, autistic, matched with ADHD. So I've got this scattergun mind that can bring in so much information from so many places. And I came across this amazing book, Dr. Claire Weeks. You can still get it. And it's called Self-Help for Your Nerves. And she's a psychologist. And it had the magic words in self-help.
Yes.
Because I can't take help from anybody else.
Right.
Just
Right. So there was an empowering turn of phrase for you.
And to kind of synthesize her message was, it's to learn, when you get to that level of depression, is accept it and go, well, why wouldn't I be depressed? There's something there that's making me like, and it's just a natural reaction.
Yes.
Wow, that was number one. Number two was she talked about learning to float. And to float, you have to pay attention to trivia. What does water feel like when you're washing your hands, for example? What's the pressure of the knife in your hand when you're cutting a carrot on a chopping board? Meaningless, but it just occupies a couple of seconds where you're not berating yourself for being depressed.
That's genius. That is utter genius. Yes.
So the genius that I'm married to one day said, oh, I want to go out this afternoon. And the one thing when you're depressed is you do not want to go out. But I love her. So I said yes. And we went to a Richmond Park in London. Beautiful, massive park.
Henry VIII roamed there with hunting deer, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah. And you can see across London.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All the way across London.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a little mansion there called Pembroke House, and it's got a beautiful garden. And Mel said to me, I'm going to leave you in the garden for an hour. I went, what? And she said, I want you to look at every leaf you come across as if you'd never seen a leaf before. And what color is it? What shape is it? What does it feel like? And the same with flowers. Okay, I'll keep you happy. And I started to do this, and it was back to this trivia thing.
Yeah.
And for the first time in probably a year, I actually anticipated eating my evening meal and the thought of enjoying it.
Wow.
So
with the pair of you had a pair of wonderful women helping. Claire, the writer of Self-Help for Your Nerves, which is a fascinating choice of words. It's quite old-fashioned, isn't it? People don't talk about their nerves so much anymore, do they? But I've lived in Yorkshire, and there was a sort of colloquialism, like somebody's bad with their nerves, and obviously we say get on nerves, and I've only got one nerve left, and you're getting on it. Those sorts of things. We know what it means, but it's not very common parlance these days.
It's not, but it's everybody knows what it means.
Yes,
and it steps away from jargon.
It does. It does.
I'm hoping that in this series of podcasts, we will not resort to jargon.
Yeah.
Because immediately that puts a barrier between us and the people listening and watching.
Well, we'll continue to use words like shitty, won't we?
Yeah. As long as people don't get offended. I mean, I'm going to keep it within limits,
Yeah, fair enough. So this is amazing. So you've got the doctor's book, the Self-Help for the Nerves, and you've got obviously an amazing, loving, wonderful wife, Mel, who gave you this exercise to do, which had you anticipating for a change and extraordinarily your dinner that evening. Was that a sort of a fork in the road or
Yeah,
a turn for you?
I knew that evening that I would not kill myself.
Wonderful.
Ever.
Right.
I didn't need to.
Yeah.
Because I'd found a little bit of the secret sauce, and the secret sauce is playing tricks on your inner saboteurs. That's another term that other people have used for these voices. You know, people talk about imposter syndrome. It's the same kind of, we get programmed in some way by our early experiences, and some people bring those into actions, and others like me have these kind of conversations, and I'll be honest with you, they're as real to me as this conversation is.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if
It's
they had the effect of you considering killing yourself, they must be pretty profound and powerful.
So this concept of trivia buying time probably is the first moment I actually thought about a long-term future. So that was my positive drive.
Yeah.
So it's not
and
an
you're
echo.
27. You're 27 at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm flying high. You know, I'm heading towards a very successful academic career. And I did have a pretty successful academic career, which we don't need to go over now. And I'll only talk about bits of it that are relevant to the subject. Otherwise, it sounds like I'm reading the CV out, and that's boring. But coming back to your question about later, when I was thinking about what my dad had said,
Yes,
I'd already built up this kind of mindful way of living. And I'd toyed with meditation for probably 15 years by the time I was really considering what his words meant. And I'd tried transcendental meditation. I'd tried guided meditation where other people were leading me. And that self-help thing kept kicking in. And I felt like a charlatan because I could do the mechanics of it. You know, the anchored breathing and all that, but it didn't do me any good, because doing it for 30 minutes a day it's not a big enough dose. Yeah. And especially somebody, and maybe you're getting to know it now, whose mind is like a fire hose.
Yeah.
It's a deluge of thoughts every minute, every day. So just meditating for 30 minutes, it's okay during it. The millisecond afterwards, it's hoses wide open.
That's exactly what came to mind for me, is that, okay, meditation done, now let's get back to the onslaught. Yeah.
So for some people, it is fabulous.
Yes.
And I will never, ever knock it. But for me, it doesn't work, because even when I'm meditating, my mind is just going full bore.
Yeah.
And I realize that if I'm going to do that kind of static meditation, I actually meditate on my thoughts.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't try and get rid of them.
No. It's a fool's errand, isn't it? I mean, I think the best definitions of meditation are awareness and being aware of what's going on, rather than trying to stop anything, because that's quite the battle.
And there's a great woman, Diana Winston, at the Hammer Institute in LA, who does a weekly free meditation podcast live every Thursday. And you can also get them thereafter. So a quick pitch for Diana. She's brilliant. And she says something along the lines of mindfulness is basically a willingness to be with what is.
Yes, absolutely.
And accepting what is.
Yeah.
Not fatalistic, but just, well, in this particular moment, this is what's happening. Now, what do I want to do in the next moment?
Well, it comes back to what you were saying about trivia to me. If your attention is where the knife is cutting the carrot, that is what's happening right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where the surfaces are meeting is now.
Yeah. So I thought, and I read another book by a guy called Shirzad Chamini, which is called Positive Intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Great book.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about internal saboteurs and the mind gym. So, yes, it's mindfulness, but it's mindfulness around, I've now got a cup of coffee cold in my hand. What do these letters feel like under my fingers?
Mm-hmm.
How much resistance am I having to exert to hold that cup up?
Yeah.
And really investigate it.
Yes.
So I live as mindful as possible a life.
Yes.
So at the moment, you are the most important person in my life because you're kind of here.
Yes. Yes. None taken.
And what am I going to miss if I suddenly start thinking about somebody else or something else?
Yes.
You know,
Well, that's very unusual, isn't it? And that does connect with the positive echo.
Yeah.
You saying that to me is quite profound, isn't it? In terms of what I might make that mean. And it does connect very well with the idea of the positive echo, the effect that you leave and what people will remember you for. And if you're remembered for making somebody feel like they were the main focus of the conversation when they were in a conversation with you, that would be pretty profound and actually quite unusual, right?
Yeah. And it stems from my primary core value in life is unconditional love. So I'm giving you a period of time with my unconditional love. My wife gets an infinite amount all the time, and my daughter.
Yeah.
I like to use the example of the barista. For that maybe 2 minutes, they get my total attention. They get my unconditional love. But they only get a little tiny bit of it. Yes. Not because they're not worth it. They don't need that much. It'd be very weird if I gave them too much.
Yeah, you might be asked to leave Starbucks.
Yeah. Right. So
can I ask you then? 27. This this is a beautiful turning point, isn't it, in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of mapping up. We've got your dad in the middle. As he's the axle, isn't he, around which this is turning. And there are various views of what he said and your relationship to him. And, clearly that's a very important spoke, 27 years of age on the wheel of your life and what happened to you in that moment. Your life obviously changed at that point, but that wasn't going to be the last profound realization or change, was it?
No. I've talked about Mel being a genius. My dad was as well.
Right.
But he was a very unassuming character. He was an engineer, worked for Rolls-Royce Aero Engines in Derby, where I was born.
That's so bizarre. This is the second conversation I've had today where this morning a friend of mine, her grandfather worked for Rolls-Royce somewhere else in the country, I think possibly in the Midlands, but that is bizarre. An engineer at Rolls-Royce, second one today. Sorry, carry on. Let's hear about it.
I love it.
Incredible.
I mean, the fact that we're here in this virtual room is total serendipity,
isn't it? Yeah.
You just have your heart and your eyes open to know when it's a good thing.
Yes.
But my dad was interesting. Around the time when I suppose I'll be 30, and I got past a lot of the clinical depression side of things.
Right.
And I was just getting my first full-time lecturer's job. So for non-UK people, that would be kind of a junior professor role. And I can remember being given what's called the graveyard shift. I worked in medical schools, and I was a biomedical scientist. I still am up here somewhere. And I was given the shift, which is to teach 4 lectures on the biochemical pathways that convert food into energy. It is a lot more complex than that, and it involves dozens and dozens of different enzymes passing one chemical, converting one tiny aspect of it, passing it to the next enzyme that does a different job, and so on and so on. And this is called glycolysis and the Krebs cycle.
I thought so.
And it's the bête noire of every medical student.
Oh, is that right? And that was your job?
That was my job, because every new lecturer was handed this course.
Yes.
And I had learnt it and I knew my stuff, and I got all the slides, because then it was 35mm slides.
My goodness.
And I gave the lecture, and I got everything I wanted to say. And I'm walking out afterwards. I'd been asked a few questions by, the nerds at the front. And as I walked out, hundreds of students behind me, I could hear, well, that was the worst lecture I've ever had. And these are first year students. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do?
Mm.
It's the first lecture I've ever given, and it's a disaster. And I went home.
Is this for real? These aren't the voices in your head. This is actually what happened.
This is absolutely real.
Nice.
And my mum and dad was staying with us. And after I'd kind of bawled my eyes out in front of them.
Oh, bless you.
I'm quite an emotional guy, but placid as well. But
yeah,
when I'm with people I can trust, I let go. And my dad said to me after everything had settled, he said, well, what are you going to do? And he said, never aspire to mediocrity, because you will definitely achieve it.
He was a genius.
He was a devil. He really, man of not many words at times, but when he did. Yeah. So this was another aphorism or an idea in my head. So he's telling me I'm not good enough and I've got to get better. And Mel said, well, what are you going to do? And I went on this amazing how to lecture course. It was more like group therapy than, how to use the equipment and use your voice. And that one thing about not aspiring to mediocrity, I aspire to greatness, but I know I'll not achieve absolutely what I set out for, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So I'm somewhere in between mediocrity and greatness. Yeah. Sometimes I'm up the top and sometimes I'm near the bottom. So what I wanted to do with this idea of the positive echo is think back to what my dad has said to me. I haven't even talked about Mom, my brother, the amazing people I've met, the amazing places I've been fortunate enough to go that have left that echo in me. Mm. There's lots and lots of other stories, and
we'll return to these people and places, because we this is number one in our first season of 6 episodes. So we will those people will get their due respect and reverence and attention, I think, in the course of our conversation.
They need to.
Yes, yeah,
and also, we mentioned guests, and what I'd like to do is kind of get a collection,
yes,
of people, places, events that have been the positive echo that our guests have received.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not all about what we've done for people. It's about what people did for us. I mean, there's a story. If I wrote a post for Substack, and it's about a visit I had to Kyoto in 1996. And it's all about feeling other.
Yes.
At that time in Kyoto, there weren't many white-faced foreigners there, put it that way. And I was in trepidation. I had no words of Japanese. I was going to a scientific congress where I was doing a big pitch to then get the next congress in the UK. So there's a lot of political pressure, scientific political pressure. All I can say is, by the time I left, it was one of the most wonderful, eye-opening, heart-opening experiences I've ever had.
Mm.
And that's left an echo in me and built on lots of the other things that I accumulated from my family and friends. So I'd really like to, as we get through this season, is come up with what are the things that are the most powerful echoes that we can leave.
Yes,
Then we
and
know what to
I love
focus
that.
on.
I suppose the reciprocity of it all, it will
Yeah.
be a theme, won't it, going forward? And another useful landmark, I think, to define the conversation and for people to know a bit more about you, Gary, is the book, obviously,
Okay.
From
Thank
Demons to Champions. How I fell in love with my neurodivergent maverick mind. Now, when did this come out, and where does this fit into this into the wheel of your life, as it were, as I referred to it earlier on?
It came out last October. Available on all good online platforms. Pick the one that you wish to use. Again, given the current circumstances, and we can make those places available.
Yeah.
When I left academic life in 2014, because by that time I'd realized that my heart really was pointed in a different direction. I'd done my bit for research. I'd trained hundreds of people. I'd taught thousands of medical students and other kinds of biomedical students. And frankly, I was getting stale. I wanted some other kind of challenge. And I'd become really interested in leadership. There's a guy, Professor Roger Mason, who was one of my bosses, the best leader I have ever met. And he will come up again, I'm sure, later.
Sure.
And not just, the charismatic leadership kind of thing, but the vulnerable leader, the person who says to his team, I feel this is the right direction, but we can only do it by doing it together. Yeah. So collaborative leadership. And it didn't go down well with my bosses, let's say. And I was already teaching mindfulness to medical students and other members of staff. And I said to my then principal, I'd like to shift gears away from doing the stuff I'm doing. And there was another dean present at this meeting. And he said, well, it's not coming out of my budget. So I thought, there's a message.
Yes.
You either stay in your lane.
That's a no then.
Or you get out.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, maybe I should look for more senior roles in universities. So I applied to various universities for jobs which, let's say, are next to the top guy, the vice chancellor. And I got to the last two for one university. I won't name them because there's no point. But when the phone call came the following day after 2 days of interviews and I didn't get the job, there was massive relief. It was like this weight, they talk about weight coming off your shoulders.
Yes.
I stood straighter and I thought, there's a message. It was never right for you. You could do this academic thing, but it was actually the wrong place to be. But I'm slow on the uptake, and it was 30 years before I knew. I'd qualified as an executive coach. So I then ran a coaching business for 8 years and loved it. And I'm a crap businessman, even though I was telling businessmen how to do it.
Yes.
Or helping them find their own way.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I'm really bad at selling myself. So here I am talking about a book. So that's one story. I'd written a book, which is yet to be published, which was about leadership. And it was what I called the Leadership Book of Days. And it was 50 chapters. And you concentrate on each one in any order. And they're all things to do with leadership, internal leadership and external leadership. And I showed it to a mate of mine, and he said, fantastic book, but nobody's going to buy it because nobody knows you.
Yeah.
And more than that, they don't know why you've come to write this book.
Yes.
Because it has this central concept called adaptive intelligence, a subject for another day. And we don't know where this came from. You've got to at least write an introduction. So I started writing the introduction, and all these memories started coming back. And the introduction grew to 170,000 words. So I thought, oh God, I'll give in. It's a memoir.
Yeah.
So that's how the book came about.
That's this one. Yeah. And so the leadership book is on the back burner, but will follow, will it?
It's finished.
Right.
So I thought, let's get the world knowing why I've written the second book.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be going down well, Gary, because
Yeah.
we've got some reviews here from one of the platforms from which the book can be bought. Thoroughly enjoyable read, so well written and informative for anyone struggling with mental health. Cracking humor too, that helps, doesn't it? Sensitively written. Anyone and everyone should read this book, but especially those who wonder about themselves. Gary Coulton will take you on an intimate journey as he battles to deal with a condition that most of us have never experienced nor recognized in others. With it written with intellect, courage, love, and humor, and with some surprising anecdotes. I love this book, says Susanna. It's a fascinating insight into one man's mind. If you're looking to find out more about neurodivergence and how people's brains work, then this is a great read. And if you're simply interested in people, then it's perfect. It helped me understand more about autism, neurodivergence, and how some people struggle with things that I took for granted. It's a book worthy of anyone's time. That's fantastic. Could you connect it for me? Sorry, go on.
I'm embarrassed, basically. I mean, that's the way I was growing up. Really, me? You know,
well, it's definitely you. You wrote the book. I love the illustrations of watering the brain there. Can you connect it? Because we're coming towards the end of this first episode in our first season, and it's really to introduce you and what's gone on in your life and how you've got to this point. It's very interesting how this is a book of our times as well, though, isn't it? Because the whole agenda of, I mean, that's probably not the best word, but the whole awareness of ADHD, of neurodivergence is with us, isn't it? This is a book of these times. Can you say more about that?
Yes, I can. And by the way, the cover's by a fantastic designer called Jessica Bell.
Yeah.
Credit where credit's due.
Yes.
The subheading is actually more important. How I fell in love with my neurodivergent maverick mind. I've always known I've thought differently.
Yeah.
Because the way I interact with kids, for example, when I was younger. But I'd never really considered that I might have a diagnosable condition. But then I realized my brother then tells me he's autistic. His wife's autistic. Their daughter's autistic. My niece is autistic. I was thinking, my mum's, she was alive when I first started. She's definitely got traits. So I have not gone for formal diagnosis for two reasons. One is, at my age, it doesn't really make any difference. I'm not asking for anything. I'm not looking for benefits. No. And I spent 30 years at medical schools working with people who were clinicians and diagnosing. And I was trained in how to diagnose. And I would train medical students in how to diagnose.
Yeah.
So I looked at all of particularly my childhood. When you're diagnosed or you identify late in life, you should look at yourself as a child, not as we are now, because we accumulate masks, social masks.
Yes.
So I identified as neurodivergent at the age of 65. And it was like an awakening. Oh.
How old are you now then, Gary? Sorry to interrupt.
I'm 68.
Okay, right. I'd have pegged you as a lot younger than that, but anyway,
well,
go on.
Thank you very much. Yes. I love you too.
The unconditional love, outbreak
Yeah.
of unconditional love, right there.
There you go. Anyway, where were we? So I identified as neurodivergent, and it was a big relief. And then I'd already begun to investigate and write about autism and ADHD because of my family. I wanted to learn more. And it certainly with autism, pardon me, and most likely all the other neurodivergent mind types, I like to call them, so OCD, Tourette's, etc., they have a genetic foundation. So you have a predisposition to autism, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And those genes have been identified in the last year. And because if you think of these very complex genetic disorders, think of type 2 diabetes. It's probably 200 genes at least that are associated with type 2 diabetes. So the thought of curing diabetes is you can change the impact of the disease, but you can't cure it because we don't have the technology to do it. And autism and these neurological conditions are very, very rarely 1 or even 5 genes. They're hundreds of genes. So if you think that we've only known this for a year, is it any surprise now that more and more and more people are being diagnosed as autistic because they managed to be hidden in the past as eccentrics and oddballs and social outcasts?
And
now we have the tools.
Yeah, and in social pressure as well would have
Yeah.
had an effect on that, wouldn't it? Because when in times of intense control and social conformity, it would be more difficult, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And girls seem to be are undiagnosed even to this day because they have a greater ability to mask their autism or their ADHD. Why they do, I don't know. But there's a brilliant book by Michelle Miniken called Good Girl Deprogramming.
Survival is the word that comes to mind for me. I mean, that's what it's about, isn't it?
It's a natural response. Masking is a natural response to being anxious in social situations.
Right.
And if you're autistic or ADHD, because of your behaviors, you have to try and become as normal as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But that comes with huge emotional exertion.
Yes.
And when it becomes too much, you get these overwhelms. That you see kids in tantrums. They're not tantrums. They're in a desperate emotional state.
Yes, it's a fuse blowing, isn't it? Effectively,
it is. Yeah. I've never done the overwhelms.
Yeah.
I go quiet and go inwards, and that's a proportion of people.
And that takes us back to you being 27, does it not?
Yeah.
Where you completely internalize the overwhelmment as a suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
I think what is, isn't it?
So back to the book is timely because I've been told this. I didn't intend it. Originally, it was written for people who wanted to understand themselves as maybe being neurodivergent. But all the people that you quoted from, as far as I know, would class themselves as neurotypical.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they've been able to demystify what it's like to be neurodivergent.
Yes.
So their understanding has increased. And for me, that's almost the biggest thing is let's get rid of the stigma. And you only get stigma from ignorance.
Yes.
So let's get rid of the ignorance. It's just probably 20% of the global population are wired differently.
Do you know what it seems like to me? There's a resonance with going to Japan, isn't there? Because it's like it's very normal to have a cultural lecture, isn't it? You're going to Japan, so you might watch a YouTube lecture on what it's acceptable and unacceptable to do in Japan, so you don't cause massive offense. And everyone's fine about taking that on, aren't they? You don't go to someone's house or country and make a pain of yourself. It doesn't. It's not a good look. And
No,
this would be like going to another culture mentally, wouldn't it? And entering someone else's mental cultural space and understanding what goes on for them, and then you can learn something, and then you find harmony, can't you? And you can everyone can benefit from that, rather than those eccentric people need to stay eccentric over there and stay in lane and stay off the fast lane.
And it's usually because what you don't understand, you fear
and demonize it ultimately, right?
So coming back to the main title, Demons to Champions, I demonized my own internal world.
Yes.
And yet, through unconditional love and this trivia thing and so many other things, we kind of, me and my demons came to be grudging allies, let's say. I worked out what they loved doing. So I gave them jobs. It sounds weird. I gave them tasks.
Perfect, yes.
Like, so the main demon was the judge. And he's the one that nearly drove me to suicide.
Yep.
Because he was always belittling me, telling me I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
What I actually realized was he loved counting things, measuring things, sensing things. And when I gave him jobs to do, he was absolutely happy.
In his element, right? In his element.
Completely.
Yes.
So he was the experimentalist, the observer in me.
Yes.
And I just gave him jobs to do, like, how emotional am I about remembering my father? Is it a 1 or is it a 10?
Yes.
And giving him scores to do.
Yeah.
And he became happy at doing that.
He's your auditing department.
And then
right?
There's the wimp, the one that wants to give up all the time, that would pull the rug from under my feet and stop me doing things.
Yes.
At the same time, the pleaser would be forcing me to take on more to please people so that I'd feel some kind of external love, validation.
And for some people hearing this, Gary, it's like, oh my God, if I could configure my mind in that way, it would be such a relief. And they can, right? By understanding the ideas.
And it's not what I call a secret sauce. There's no 12 steps.
Right.
It's bloody hard work, but if you're persistent and don't worry when you fail.
Yeah.
You just be kind to yourself, unconditional love. But what eventually happened is my allies realized they were actually better off doing the things I was asking them to. They were happier.
Right.
Aren't we
all when we're in our right place, right?
So I kind of said to them, well, I can't do without you now. So they're my champions.
Yes.
And I'm not going to spoil the end of the book.
Teamwork, though. It's teamwork makes the dream work. That's the sense I'm getting.
Yeah.
Now, we're coming towards the end of the first episode. There will be more. And I think you will have already caused some positive echoes for people. That guy who wrote that book. Yeah, that makes so much sense, that idea. Yeah, I'm going to take that and run with it. I might buy the book. And just one more time, just so people know, it is From Demons to Champions, breaking through the barbed wire. I think is a symbolism there, isn't it? How I fell in love with my neurodivergent maverick mind. And we'll return to talking about the book. There's an event happening on my doorstep. You live near where I was born. You talked about one of my most favorite places in the world, Richmond Park and Pembroke. Is that where the restaurant is?
Yeah.
Pembroke Lodge, right? And people get married there, don't they?
They do.
I have so many happy memories of that building and that park. And now you're coming to my hometown here in Portugal, where I live. What are the chances? And we'll talk about this event in a moment. But is there anything else we need to know about you? Because we're kind of mapping out Gary Coulton, aren't we? I'm sure there's loads of things we haven't said, but just sort of briefly, bullet point, milestones in your life that we should know about.
So I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
I'm placid, yet emotional.
Yeah.
I have a brilliant family. I haven't told you about my heavy rock playing brother yet.
We'll go in. We'll start with him next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm a marathon kayaker.
Right.
So
Obviously.
we paddle in very unstable, like needle shaped boats. And the only way you stay upright is by maintaining really good balance
Yeah.
and perfect symmetry in paddling. So it's all about mind and body.
I bet that's good for your core, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Excellent.
But then I decided, I wonder if I could use some of those mindful principles in my paddling to improve my stroke.
Yes.
And there's a whole chapter on that in the book.
Wow.
But this then came out into I'm now a kayak coach, and I run a group, and I call it Zen Paddling.
Of course,
I wanted to call it the inner game, but a guy called Timothy Galway, who
my word, that was quite the franchise,
man.
wasn't it? In a
Yes,
golf and the
still
tennis.
is.
Yeah,
Still is.
Yes.
Amazing man. I had the chance of a 2-day course with him.
Oh, did you? You met the man. Right.
Wonderful. But he made it very clear I couldn't call it the inner game of paddling.
That's right. He's made his whole life's based on that now, isn't it? I'm sure.
But the principles are exactly the same.
Okay.
Effectively using a mindful meditation.
Yes.
On the water.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So that's another thing. I'm a marathon kayaker.
We'll be hearing a bit more about that as well, of course.
And now I've decided that professionally, I'm now a writer and author
and a podcaster.
Podcaster. I've got 2 novels as well on the go.
Have you?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
One of which I started 35 years ago.
A Renaissance man for sure. Okay, we'll hear more about all of these things, but that really kind of sets the tone, gives us some landmarks, kicks off the Positive Echo podcast. And it was so lovely to hear about your father. And this is happening soon, 5th of April. You're coming over to Portugal. What's happening here? And just what happened? What are the strange circumstances that spawned this event?
I will keep this as short as possible. 2 of our best friends are 2 Americans from Minnesota, and their daughter was at an archaeological dig in the Algarve. And Doug and Lorene said, "Why don't you come over for 4 days while we're here, and we'll go to a vineyard and we'll see medieval cities and so on." We only booked 1 hotel, the Quinta, the vineyard. Everywhere else, somebody in the car would be going through booking.com or wherever platform we were using, and they would book the next hotel. My job, we were heading towards Sintra, and I found the Storyteller Hotel, run by our good friend Marco.
Yes.
And we met him there at breakfast. He cooked us breakfast. And the idea was people who stayed there told each other their stories, their background.
Yeah.
And he's an incredibly interesting man.
Yes.
And I've met him in London since. And when he knew my book was coming out, he said, "I want to put an event on." I went, "Okay, how much is that going to cost me?" And he went, "No, I want to put an event on." So this is what's happened from that serendipitous. I could have booked any hotel.
Right.
All that follow on is simply because I like the look of the hotel.
Yes.
It looked interesting. The name looked interesting. So here we are at 5th of April. 2 people I've never met before, but they're having really interesting expertise and background.
Yes.
And the 3 of us are going to put this event on, which is about your positive echo. And on the day, the 5th of April, is, I'll be reading some chapters out. They'll each have a time to talk about their work. We'll probably have a panel discussion. We have a dinner with the superstars that evening. And then the next morning, I'm going to take a group out on the beach if the weather's okay, even if the weather's not okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to investigate what people think their positive echo could be. And I'm going to
Fabulous.
distract them using mindfulness.
Wonderful. So who's it aimed at, Gary? Who should come along?
Anyone who feels that they might have a maverick mind, anyone that is the parent of, anyone who works with somebody, maybe has a cousin or just somebody who wants to understand either what neurodiversity is about and or how you leave a positive echo.
Wonderful. So it's not just the science or theory. It's not a lecture, is it? We're talking about an experiential,
yes,
and an experience of understanding, and then
a bit of audience participation.
Adventure. Yeah, and an adventure. Wonderful. Yeah. Typically suitable, appropriate for the Storytellers Palace. Not in Sintra. This is the new one where you'll find Marco, where I met Marco. A great friend of mine said, you need to pop along and see this guy. And now we do a monthly live broadcast from their restaurant, from their breakfast room. And we've made friends. We're part of the family over there. It's a wonderful atmosphere that Marco creates in Sintra, the original, and now in San Martino de Porto on the Silver Coast of Portugal. So I'll see you there and I'll meet you in person.
Indeed. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Wonderful. I think we've well and truly launched the good ship, Positive Echo. Have we not today?
I think we have, and it's been, as they say, a blast. Thank you.
It's been great fun, and people can find you on Substack, as you said, Gary Coulton on Substack.
Yeah. Okay. It's garycoulton.substack.com.
And the spelling you can see on your screen right there. And we look forward to meeting Adriana and Mario, as well as meeting and being in the company of Marco as well, and the Storytellers team. Thanks, Gary. I'm looking forward to the next one already.
Yeah.
Bye for now.